Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 14, Pregnancy of Aditi in the evening. Text number 1 onwards. Shri Shukavacha Nishamya Koshar Vinopavarnitam Hare Katha Karana Sukaratmanaha Punasapaprittam Udyatanjalir Nachati Triptu Vidrodhritvitaha. Shivdev Goswami said, after hearing from the great sage Maitreya about the Lord's incarnation as Varaha, Vidura, who had taken a vow, begged for him with folded hands to please narrate further transcendental activities of the Lord, since he, Vidura, did not feel satisfied. So just like the speaker doesn't feel satisfied by speaking about the Lord, he wants to speak more and more. Vidurji wanted to hear more and more about the Lord. Text 2. Viduruvacha tenev tu muni shrestha harina yagyamurtina adi datya hiranyaksho hat iti anushushramah. Shri Vidura said, O chief amongst the great sages, I have heard by disciplic succession that Hiranyaksha, the original demon, was slain by the same form of sacrifices, the personality of Godhead, Lord bore. So here Vidurji is making sure that he says that he heard from disciplic succession previously. He just didn't hear any rumors or gossips, and he didn't just speculate on this. So that's the right way of hearing. And he wants to hear more about how Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha. As referred to previously, the boar incarnation was manifested in 2 millenniums, namely Swayambhuva and Chakshusha. In both millenniums, there was a boar incarnation of the Lord. But in the Swayambhuva millennium, he lifted the earth from within the water of the universe. Whereas in the Chakshusha millennium, he killed the first demon Hiranyaksha. In the Swayambhuva millennium, he assumed the color white, and in the Chakshusha millennium, he assumed the color red. Vidura had already heard about one of them, and he proposed to hear about the other. The 2 different boar incarnations described are the one Supreme Personality of Godhead. So they just come in different millenniums and different colors and perform different pastimes. So it said, Prabhupada explaining, in Chakshusha millennium, he killed Hiranyaksha. But in Shvetavaraha in the Swayambhuva millennium, he just lifted the earth out of Karvadak Sagar. Text 3. Tasya cha udharata kshonim swadashtra grena lileya Datirajasya cha Brahman kasmad detur bhunmrita. What was the reason of Brahman for the fight between the demon king and Lord Boar while the Lord was lifting the earth as his pastime? Shadadhanaya bhaktaya bruhi tajjanma vistaram rishena tripyati manaha param kotuhalam hime. My mind has become very inquisitive, and therefore I am not satisfied with hearing the narration of the Lord's appearance. Please therefore speak more and more to a devotee who is faithful. He wants to hear more about Lord Varahadev. One who is actually faithful and inquisitive is qualified to hear the transcendental pastimes of the appearance and disappearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Vidura was a suitable candidate to receive such transcendental messages. Text 5. Maitreya Vacha Sadhu Veera Tvaya Prishtam Avatar Katham Hare Yatvam Brichasi Martyanam Mrityu Pashvishatanim. The great sage Maitreya said, O warrior, the inquiry made by you is just befitting a devotee, because it concerns the incarnation of the personality of Godhead. He is a source of liberation from the chain of birth and death for all those who are otherwise destined to die. The great sage Maitreya addressed Vidura as a warrior, not only because Vidura belonged to the Kuru family, but he was anxious to hear about the chivalrous activities of the Lord in his incarnation of Varadeva and Narasimha. Because the inquiries concerned the Lord, they were perfectly befitting a devotee. A devotee has no taste for hearing anything mundane. There are many topics of mundane warfare, but a devotee is not inclined to hear them. The topics of the warfare in which the Lord engages do not concern the war of death, but the war against the chain of Maya, which obliges one to accept repeated birth and death. In other words, one who takes delight in hearing the war topics of the Lord is relieved from the chains of birth and death. So Krishna or Lord Varahadev or Lord Nrsimhadev, Varahadev, Nrsimhadev, they killed the biggest demons of the universe. And see, we all have this. Ultimately, originally it's in Krishna, this mode of fighting. So we all have this mode of fighting in a smaller or bigger degree, lesser or bigger degree. But if we hear of the war pastimes of Varahadev, Nrsimhadev, or Krishna, that delivers us. I mean, the inclination is in us, but what we should hear, that's what is important. If we just engage ourselves in hearing or seeing war movies or World War One or World War Two or India-Pakistan war or any other war, that will bind us. That will not liberate us. But when we hear about this fighting between Varahadev and Hiranyaksha and Nrsimhadev and Hiranyakashipu and Krishna killing so many demons and Ram killing Ravan and Kumbhakaran, and everybody loves Hanumanji killing so many demons somehow. I have never seen anybody who doesn't like hearing stories about Hanumanji. So that those pastimes can liberate us, because then we are hearing about Krishna and Krishna's devotee taking part in war, and how, in what consciousness they were fighting. And when we hear about Krishna killing so many demons, or Varahadev, Nrsimhadev, Ram killing demons, so that just by hearing that with faith, one can get delivered. So same war propensity can bind us, and same war propensity can liberate us. In fact, Arjuna and Hanuman, they just killed so many people, so many demons for the sake of service of the Lord. So that, I mean, for the sake of service of the Lord, if one engages in war, that can liberate one. There's no doubt about that. Foolish people are suspicious of Krishna's taking part in the battle of Kurukshetra, not knowing that his taking part ensured liberation for all who were present on the battlefield. It is said by Bhishma Dev that all who were present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra attained their original spiritual existences after death. Therefore, hearing the war topics of the Lord is as good as any other devotional service. So Prabhupada is again confirming that, because this was confirmed by Krishna, that anybody who died in that battle of Kurukshetra, the war of Mahabharata, from both parties, either Kaurava or Pandavas, and not mentioned here, but although any animals also who died, because so many animals were they taking part in the war. Any animals, even they died. They all just attained their original spiritual existence after death. This is the benefit of not only hearing about Krishna, because Krishna was personally present there. So anybody who died in front of him definitely went back. Text 6. ययोतान् तदः पुत्रो मुनिना गीतयार्भकः भृत्युकृत्यैव मूर्धन्यं अङ्घ्रिम् आरुरो हरे padam. By hearing these topics from the sage Narad, the son of King Uttanpa, Dhruva, was enlightened regarding the personality of Godhead, and he ascended to the abode of the Lord, placing his feet over the head of death. While quitting his body, Maharaj Dhruva, the son of King Uttanpad, was attended by personalities like Sunanda and others who received him in the kingdom of God. He left this world at an early age as a young boy, although he had attained the throne of his father and had several children of his own. Because he was due to quit this world, death was waiting for him. He did not care for death, however, and even with his present body, he boarded a spiritual plane and went directly to the planet of Vishnu because of his association with the great Fish Narad, who had spoken to him the narration of the pastimes of the Lord. So somehow Shukdev Goswami he brought up the topic of Dhruv Maharaj, that he heard about the topics of the Lord from his guru, Narad Muni. And he attained the throne of his father, had several children of his own, but when he was ready to quit his body, he just left, and death was waiting for him. And it is mentioned that the airplane, Vaikuntha plane was there, with Vishnu Dutas were there ready to take him, and he put his foot on the head of death. Death was bowing down to him. Put his foot on the head of death, and he boarded that plane. He just used death as a stepping stool to board the plane. And this is all because he heard the narrations of the pastimes of the Lord from Narad Muni. So important are the narrations. All we have to do is just hear with a faithful, devotional heart. That's all. This is the beauty of Srimad Bhagavatam. Anybody who hears Srimad Bhagavatam with faith, with some attention, he can definitely go back to Godhead. अथात्रापि तहा सोऽयं श्रुतो मे वर्णिता पुरा ब्रह्मण देवेन देवानामनुपृच्छताम्. This history of the fight between the Lord as a boar and the demon Hiranyaksha was heard by me in a year long ago, as it was described by the foremost of the demigods, Brahma, when he was questioned by the other demigods. So this story was originally told by Brahmaji. Ditira Daksha yani kshattam aricham kashyapam patim apatya kama chakme sandhyayam hrityardita. Diti, the daughter of Daksha, being afflicted with sex desire, begged her husband Kashyap, the son of Marichi, to have intercourse with her in the evening in order to beget a child. So now this story starts. The pregnancy of Diti in the evening. Ishtva jivam payasa purusham yajusham patim nimlo chartyaka asinam agnyagare samahitam. The sun was setting and the sage was sitting in trance after offering oblations to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, whose tongue is the sacrificial fire. Fire is considered to be the tongue of the Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, and oblations of grains and clarified butter offered to the fire are thus accepted by him. That is the principle of all sacrifices, of which Vishnu is a master. In other words, the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu includes the satisfaction of all demigods and other living beings. So when we do this havan, this yajna, then the fire that is produced, that is considered as the tongue of the Lord. And whatever offering we make, of especially of this clarified butter and the oblations of grains, they are consumed by Vishnu. And also, when we say Swaha, Swaha is a fire, a wife of fire, Agni Dev. So she takes those offerings and she takes to all the demigods and to Vishnu, whatever their fair quota is. Next 10. Ditiruvacha, Esham mam tvat krite vidvan kam atat sharasana dunoti dinam vikramya rambham iv mat rajaha matangajaha. In that place, the beautiful deity expressed her desire. O learned one, the Cupid is taking his arrows and distressing me forcibly, as a mad elephant troubles a banana tree. So Kashyap Muni had actually two wives, Diti and Aditi. Kashyap Muni is son of Marich. Marich is son of Brahmaji. So Aditi is the mother of all the demigods. And from Diti came the demons. Daityas. Daityas came from Diti, and Diti is the mother of all the demons. So can you believe demons and demigods are all sons of Kashyap Muni? They all come from Kashyap Muni. But both have different propensities. So Diti approached Kashyap Muni in the evening time when he had just finished a yajna and he was meditating on the Supreme Lord. And Diti somehow, it's all arranged by the Lord. Somehow she had this desire for sex at that time. Beautiful Diti, seeing her husband absorbed in trance, began to speak loudly, not attempting to attract him by bodily expressions. She frankly said that her whole body was distressed by sex desire because of her husband's presence, just as a banana tree is troubled by a mad elephant. It was not natural for her to agitate her husband when he was in trance, but she could not control her strong sexual appetite. A sex desire was like a mad elephant, and therefore it was a prime duty of her husband to give her all protection by fulfilling her desire. But he should have restrained, but he didn't. Let's see what further goes on. Tad bhavandaya mayanayam sapatninam samriddhibhi Prajapatinam bhadram te maya yunkam anugriham. Therefore you should be kind towards me by showing me complete mercy. I desire to have sons, and I am much distressed by seeing the opulence of my co-wives. By performing this act, you will become happy. So she was distressed by seeing the opulence of her co-wives, especially Aditi. In Bhagavad Gita, sexual intercourse for begetting children is accepted as righteous. A person sexually inclined for simple sense gratification, however, is unrighteous. In Diti's appeal to her husband for sex, it was not exactly that she was afflicted by sex desires, but she desired sons. Since she had no sons, she felt poorer than her co-wives. Therefore, Kashyap was supposed to satisfy his bona fide wife. So she desired to have sons. It was not just for sex purpose. She wanted to approach her husband. Bhartariya Mananam lokana vishate yashaha patir bhavadvidho yasam prajaya nanu jayate. A woman is honored in the world by the benediction of her husband, and a husband like you will become famous by having children because you're meant for the expansion of living entities. So she is trying all her ways to make Kashyap Muni agree. According to Rishabdev, one should not become a father or a mother unless one is confident that he can beget children whom he can deliver from the clutches of birth and death. Human life is the only opportunity to get out of the material scene, which is full of the miseries of birth, death, old age, and diseases. Every human being should be given the opportunity to take advantage of his human form of life. And a father like Kashyap is supposed to beget good children for the purpose of liberation. So, so Kashyap Muni, being such a great sage, he was going to have exalted kids. So Diti approached him at that time after he had done his yagya, and she was more influenced by that because other wives of Kashyap Muni, they had sons, and she didn't have any. पुरापितानो भगवान् दक्षो दुहितृवित् वत्सलः कं वृणीत वरं वत्स इति अपृच्छतः पृथक्. In days long ago, our father, the most opulent Daksha, who was affectionate to his daughters, asked each of us separately whom we should prefer to select as our husband. It appears from this verse the free selection of a husband was allowed by the father, but not by free association. The daughters were asked separately to submit the selection of a husband who was famous for his acts and personality. The ultimate selection depended on the choice of the father. So free association was never encouraged, but still it was selection or choice of the daughter about her husband. So viditvatma janamno bhavam santan bhavana trayodasha datasam yasate shila manuvritaha. Our well-wishing father, Daksha, after knowing our intentions, handed over 13 of his daughters unto you, and since then we have all been faithful. So Daksha married 13 daughters to Kashyap Muni. Generally, the daughters were too shy to express their opinions before their father, but the father would accept the daughter's intentions through someone else, such as a grandmother to whom the grandchildren had free access. King Daksha collected the opinions of his daughters and thus handed over 13 to Kashyap Muni. Every one of Diti's sisters was a mother of children, however. Therefore, since she was equally faithful to the same husband, why should she remain without children? So that was her another argument. Atme kuru kalyanam kamam kamalalochana artopasarpanam bhumannam ogham hi mahiyasi. O red-eyed one, kindly bless me by fulfilling my desire. When someone in distress approaches a great person, his pleas should never go in vain. Diti knew very well that her request might be rejected because of the untimely situation. But she pleaded that when there is an emergency or a distressful condition, there is no consideration of time or situation. So, another one of her arguments. इति तां वीरमारीचः कृपणां बहुभाषिणीं प्रत्याह अनुनयन वाचा प्रवृद्धा अंगकश्मलाम्. O hero Vidura, Diti, being thus afflicted by the contamination of lust, and therefore poor and talkative, was pacified by the son of Marichi in suitable words. When a man or woman is afflicted by the lust of sex desire, it is to be understood as sinful contamination. Kashyap was engaged in his spiritual activities, but he did not have sufficient strength to refuse his wife, who was thus afflicted. He could have refused her with strong words expressing impossibility, but he was not as spiritually strong as Vidura. Vidura is addressed herein as a hero because no one is stronger in self control than a devotee of the Lord. It appears that Kashyap was already inclined to have sexual enjoyment with his wife, and because he was not a strong man, he tried to dissuade her only with pacifying words. So we'll read further tomorrow onwards. We'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Brahma.
A lot of questions were answered by this class.
Oh, okay. Of course, Kashyap Muni will give nice arguments, but then he says whatever the Lord wants. Maybe he wants this to happen.
Yeah, finally, to accept this is the most difficult thing. Everything that has happened or is happening is according to the will of the Lord. So just
Yep.
to come to terms with that is what is taking the time. So all this reading, hearing, everything helps actually. Thank you very much for your
Mm. So thank you all. You all have a wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna.
Jai Shri Prabhupada.